Jeff. It's 8:45 on your Tuesday morning, and sure, opposites might attract in a romantic setting. We've all heard the saying, but for couples raising kids, different parenting styles can really spell disaster unless you work together. Here to give us the top tips for comfortable co-parenting is Karen Deerwester, author of The Entitlement-Free Child. Karen, good to see you.
Morning, Kristen.
You know, I really relate to this topic because I came from a household where I'd ask my dad something and he would say no, and then I would ask my mom, and then she might say yes, and then my dad would be like, I'd hear them like saying, you can't say yes after I say no. Does this happen a lot?
All the time. You know, we make such a big deal out of being consistent, in our parenting, but it's not really realistic to think that everybody's going to be consistent all the time, especially when you disagree and you have different styles. And of course, dads and daughters, sons and mothers. So I have this first rule of parenting that says, you know, whoever speaks first rules, because it's more important to have mutual respect than for the parent to be right.
Oh, I like that. Whoever speaks first rules. Okay, so there's a strategy here as well, right? To talk about strategy with your partner. Explain that.
Well, what I want parents to know is if you disagree, you of course can't disagree in front of the child. And some parents are going to have a higher tolerance for whining and others won't, and curfews. So when you need to speak about it is after the fact. When you're not feeling defensive, when you're not feeling like somebody's criticizing you in front of the child. And whatever's going on between that parent and the child in the moment, that deserves to be worked out between the parent and child. So schedule a time, 15 minutes, a half an hour, once a week to talk about your parenting. What's working, what's not working with each other. And wine can sometimes help that discussion.
Wine can help for your parenting powwow.
You know, then
right?
you're not as defensive.
Exactly. Okay, more co-parenting tips.
Well, so the first one is whoever speaks first rules.
I got that one.
The second is talk about it after the fact. And the third one is just accept that your child is going to grow with two different parenting influences. They're going to learn to be adaptable. So when you were working your mom, you learned to be a master negotiator. You learned to come out in the world and deal with a lot of different personality styles. So what your child gains from the differences is more important than a superficial consistency.
I got it. Okay, here's a really important question. Do you need to talk about, I think my parenting style is going to be this before you have your child? Because, I mean, you're together and you don't know how you're going to parent until you have a kid. So how do you talk about that?
Well, you find set the trend immediately and talk about what kind of parents you want to be, what kind of parents you were raised with, what your values are, what your hopes are, what your dreams are. And then, of course, no matter how well you plan it, your children are going to mess up that mix because they have their own personalities.
That's what we do.
It's what we do. So go slowly, but let it be a process of evolving. But start young, because when you get to the high school years and you get to those big problems, you want to already have a foundation of being able to resolve conflict and disagreements between yourselves.
Karen, it was such a pleasure having you here. Thank you so much.
Always fun. Thanks.
And for more great parenting tips, head over to our website, southflorida.com/family. Thank you again to Karen. Coming up, so much more to get to.